Hi, I'm Nancy Rathbun. Thank you for purchasing our Curve It Up block of the month. Today I'm going to be demonstrating the techniques you need to sew your block 8 and block 9 pieces together. Each of your cuttings for your fabric pieces, you're going to have markings to do. Okay? These sections here, these small rectangles, are going to be the segments of the fan. So I've marked a 3.5 inch line over here and also a 1.5 inch line. So you're going to set up the curve of your ruler with one side here on that 3.5 inch mark and the other lined up with the 1.5. So those are going to be the markings for where that curve is going to be cut on these. So I've got 4 layers here. And then on this side, you're just going to line up the points underneath that cut open. So just cut a little bit off. So you're going to have, for this particular block, you're going to have 2 colors. And in the second block, you're going to have three you're going to do, and we've done this type of cutting before, is when you're going to have your 5 inch mark up here and then come down and do 5 inches on the opposite side, and then you're going to have your curve on the 5 inch mark and then also on the point. You're going to have that, and then you'll rotate it and you'll cut the opposite side. Also have, of course, the background fabric, and I've already marked this as well, 1.5 inches down on either side, and then I'm going to center my curve right over those markings, right where I've marked those. So I kind of have to just reconfigure it a couple times. There we go. And I'll cut that one. So there's all my cutting, and so now I'm ready to sew it. Now that we've cut all our pieces, we're ready to sew our fan segments together. So it's important to start by laying them all out exactly like it shows in your pattern, with each color in order. So for here, for example, we have A, B, but if you had multiple colors, you could lay out the multiple colors out. So I'm going to take my first fabric A segment, and I'm going to position right sides together, a fabric B segment, making sure that I have 1/4 inch of fabric A, a little triangle of it coming out. And now I'm going to sew this curve. And you're just going to continue building from your row that you have positioned in front of your machine, each segment on the fan. So there should be 5 in all. So much like our other curve piecing, I'm going to take it slow and stop as I need to with my needle down, and then just reposition my presser foot, and I'm going to continue doing that until I've sewn all the way down my curve. Now when you get to the end, you're going to see that it's very uneven down here at one side, at the bottom, but that's okay. As long as it's even up at the top, then you're doing it right. You need to keep continuing to position with 1/4 inch triangle out from the outside of your underneath fabric. So now we're ready to square up the fan portion. And to square this up, you're going to have to use the quick curve ruler against this curve of the fold of the fan, the curve of the fan. And you want to just be about 1/4 inch from the edge. So I'm just going to line up that dashed 1/4 inch line and then continue shifting that along that outside edge. So we want to get the correct angle. And so as I kind of get close to one of those sections, I'm going to just sort of shift that curve with that dashed 1/4 of an inch line going beyond. So here is my fan that's been squared up. Now I'm ready to sew this fan with one of our background squares here. So it's important at this step to go ahead and mark. These segments are going to get marked 1 inch. Okay? So go ahead and mark 1 inch in from the edge of the fan here. And then again on the bottom part of the fan, another 1 inch line down here. So when I sew this together, that 1 inch line is going to be positioned right on the edge of my white background. And I'm going to sew this right sides together, and then we'll square this up. Now that I've sewn my background, I'm ready to square this up. So we're going to square this up simply by keeping this fan even with the square of my background. So I just keep a horizontal line even on the edge of my white fabric, and I just cut that straight edge. And I'm going to do the same thing over here on this opposite side. I'm going to keep a horizontal line even with my white background, and then I'm going to cut that fan. Next thing we need to do is we need to cut this opening here. So I'm going to measure 4.5 inches down on each side of my fan, and I'm going to mark. So you get a little mark line here, and then 4.5 inches down from the seam here. So we're going to measure 4.5 inches in on both sides, and then that is going to be the 2 markings you're going to look at on your quick curve ruler. 2 markings. And now I'm going to cut that curve. So now I'm ready to sew my last segment, which is this here. Now when I'm going to sew this, I want to make sure that my fan block is 1 inch past that fan circle. Okay, and then I'll sew this together. So if you look at it, how it will be sewn, this will be on the bottom, and this will be 1 inch past this corner, and I'll sew that curve. Now I'm ready to square up my entire block. So I've got my corner sewn on, and I'm going to square this block up to 8.5 by 8.5 inches. So you need to make sure your 7.5 inch mark on your ruler is even with these curved seams here and here. And that's going to make it even from center out, kind of no matter what you've done. So my 7.5 inch line here, 7.5 inch here, and then make sure I have 8.5 all the way around to square up. Just rotate it and then line up that cut edge along my 8.5 inch line now. And just trim off a little bit. So now I have a nice 8.5 inch fan block. So with this month you're going to make a lot of fan blocks, and they may be in different colors, and you can also sew them together in different ways. So for example, you could sew it into a Dresden plate with 4 to make a nice circle, or you could make all of your fans going the same direction like a fan block, or kind of make it look like a football. So there's a lot of ways to sew this together, so have fun sewing your fan blocks.